Well, what an interesting day it's been. And no, I'm not talking about the soft launch of Hytale. We're talking about good old Riftbound. So Riftbound is constantly proving itself to be a massive blessing as well as a curse for Riot Games. In one of our previous videos, we talked about just how massive Riftbound could become for Riot. The TLDR is that TCGs in general are massively profitable for all the companies. As an example, many years ago, after Hasbro acquired Wizards of the Coast with Magic, Magic the Gathering became over a quarter of the company's entire earnings, which really showcased the potential of TCGs to the entire world. Of course, it is likely that Riot had similar hopes for Riftbound. That is simply because Legends of Runeterra missed out on its profitability, and physical card games now have the same potential to catch up. But what we do know is that there was no way Riot knew Riftbound would be this big in the world of TCGs. During its initial release, the first boxes of the Origin set were sold out in an hour. And I mean, they were sold out across the globe. And ever since then, the game started quickly picking up. The main reason for that is that this game is simply really fun, and that's even the case for the people who have never tried TCGs before, like me. But unfortunately, after that, the pricing of the cards only went up. And there are two reasons for that. First of all, Riot did set up the chase cards in a cool way, and so it is genuinely fun to collect these. But also, because the demand for this game is so high, it is also really hard to get the cards, and so the cards are simply expensive. Again, this is what we mentioned in the previous video. Riftbound has the potential to become half of Riot's earnings. And right now, the game is already going wild. A bit of a spoiler alert for this video, but it was officially reported that the demand for this game is about 5 times higher than what Riot can physically produce. And Riot is not taking it lightly. And if you thought this hype is there only because it is a new game, well, the truth is that it is only after people get some cards and play the game that they figure out that this game is good. But again, getting your hands on some cards is like finding a unicorn. So right now, the hype around the game is still growing. And while on one side this is exactly what Riot could have hoped for, it turns out it is also constantly dealing damage to their reputation. Because keeping up with this level of hype is simply impossible. As of right now, Riot still couldn't get out enough cards, and they legitimately managed to meet only about 35% of the demand. And these are just rough estimations, which again turns Riftbound into a gold mine, as well as a curse. Somewhat recently, they also managed to speed up the production. It is still not enough. Which of course means that currently all the sealed boxes are sold for about 200% of the price, because scalpers gonna scalp and the horror stories around Pokemon are pretty funny. And so, it was only yesterday that everything crumbled like a house of cards. It all started with this article where Riot gave us some updates on selling Riftbound. First of all, they announced the launch of the pre-orders for Spirit Forged, which is the second set. This would go live on January the 13th, which was yesterday. And they also gave everyone an important note. For this round of pre-orders, there will be a limit of 1 booster display per Riot ID, and a limit of 3 of each champion decks per Riot ID. So yes, one Riot account was only able to get 1 box. Remember this. During the Origins launch, one Riot ID was able to get you 2 boxes, but even that wasn't enough, so to make sure the cards spread around, it was 1 box for 1 Riot ID. After which they assured everyone that the second set will ship out faster after they fixed some issues. Then they also showed us the new Lunar Revel bundle, which is a bundle that is focusing on Irelia. Yes, that one is only in Chinese. We can assume that is the case because it was locally produced in China, because that's where a lot of Riftbound happens. But people will still hunt this down for the playmat and the card sleeves. Then we also got an announcement on the Proving Grounds restock. In case you don't know, this is the starter deck that everyone should get if you wanna try out Riftbound. For only $35, you'll get 4 decks that are decently good, And it is all set up so that you can just simply play for fun with 3 of your friends. The value for this one is crazy, and there are some cards in these bundles that are really good. Once again, that is why people really started buying these bundles. And so again, to make sure that more players have cards to play with, Riot found a new producer that can produce cards of almost identical quality. However, because it is someone else, the price will now go to $40, which is still fine. But then they also talked about the Origins restock. These are the original cards, which are still not up to the demand. And so here they just told us that there are more Origin cases going to local game stores as well as the Riot merch store. But they don't have any specific timings, so they just want to get more cards to the people as soon as possible. Again, Riot doesn't make any profits off of scalping, so they want to get rid of that as soon as possible. And they only benefit from more people playing the game, so they just want to sell more. But that was pretty much it for the announcement, so now everyone was waiting for the fateful day. January 13th, which is where people would try and order Spirit Forged. And when the time came, people were ready. But Riot sure wasn't. So, in my group specifically, I was on my phone, my wife was on my laptop, my brother was on the store, my 2 cousins were also trying, and when the hour of twilight came, we got nothing. The entire website was just dead for the first 10 minutes, and after it started finally loading for people, the cases were sold out. Now, occasionally, if you kept refreshing the page, you were able to put one of these boxes into your cart. That is because someone's order just got cancelled randomly. But then, if you waited in the queue for a checkout before you got to the payment, it got sold out. And so, for the most part, nobody was able to get anything. Although, shout out to my cousin who actually managed to get something. I have no idea how he managed to do that, because he was on his phone on a train. But he managed to buy 2 boxes. How is that possible? Wasn't there supposed to be a limit of 1 box per Riot ID? Well, you see, it turns out that the system that was supposed to fight the bots was just not there. For some reason, you could actually put 1 item into your cart, as is for the 1 ID. But after you checked out, you could do it again. Perhaps it is because the servers were overloaded, but nothing was marking that Riot ID as one that already purchased a box. Meaning that in literally 1 minute, automated bots purchased all of Riftbound. And how do we know that's actually what happened? Well, you see, those bots are actually designed to post about it. And they even tag the people who use the bot. After you realize that these bots also hold all the account information for these people, that's one way to dox people. I mean, in reality, all these bots are doing is telling people, hey, if you really wanna get that Labubu as long as it's stocked, use our bot. And it really seems like those bots did work, even though in this case, they weren't supposed to work. Even if you could automate the purchase by going behind the scenes, that 1 purchase per Riot ID should still limit them. Sure, it is possible that one could create like 10 different Riot accounts, but I think there is the limitation of that account having to be older than a month or something like that. Which means the only way to get a box would be to buy accounts. And yes, this did result in a single person buying like 15 boxes. And what happened to all those boxes that were sold for $135? Well, they are now on eBay for $250. Apparently another reason why this happened is because Riot is using Shopify as their shopping domain for the merch store, and the bots were able to find the links to the boxes like a month ahead, meaning that they had plenty of time to set up the automation. All they had to do was just to ping that domain and bypass all the UI that the users had to deal with. If you tried to do this at home, by the time you got through all the UI, you would be stuck in the checkout queue. But again, before it was your turn, it would all be sold out. Which, of course, resulted in the community reacting in the most hilarious way. The website died before the product even came out, come on! This Riftbound pre-sale is a refreshing circle of hell. We had like 10 plus people, none of them got anything. Except Peter got a rumble deck. 0 stars out of 5 experience, would not want to do that again. Went to war on Riot store for a Riftbound product just to lose my card after waiting. Natural movement for Pokemon sculptors losing money to Riftbound botting to scalp. I hate this so much, I just want product to play. My POV tried to order the new Riftbound set. I've been refreshing the Riftbound page for 50 minutes straight in a call with 10 friends and none of us got it. Is it doomed? Just sat in a call with friends for an hour trying to get Riftbound pre-orders. And none of us got anything. Checking around other servers and channels. No one I asked could buy a single item either. Did anyone actually manage to buy something? So yes, it seems like the vast majority of the boxes went to bots. So it's possible my cousin is a bot. And for a little bit, that's where it ended. But then we did get an update from Dave Guskin, the grandfather of Riftbound. As you all saw, Spiritforge pre-orders went fast today. We know it was a frustrating experience for a lot of you. Overall, we saw 2 major issues. First, even with 50% more product than Origins, we still didn't have enough to meet the demand. Second, the sales process was overwhelmed by a mix of real traffic from Riftbounders and bots. We're in the process of cancelling all fraudulent orders. If you're a real player who placed an order, your order will remain valid and it will still ship. To prevent bots from circling back in and claiming that inventory again, we've paused pre-orders. Our priority remains getting Riftbound cards into the hands of real players as quickly as possible. We're working on a new plan to reopen a significant amount of Spiritforge pre-orders to give players a fair and stable way to purchase cards. We will share details as soon as we have a clear path forward. Here's a bit more background on what happened today from our side. Due to the volume of traffic created on both legitimate purchases and bots, our prevention was slow to take hold and unfortunately resulted in a rush of fraudulent orders being placed by bots. Again, at this point I am convinced my cousin is a bot. But yes, it is exactly as I speculated. The system was overwhelmed and so the thing that was supposed to mark the accounts didn't mark the accounts. You might have seen fluctuation in items going in and out of stock, which is what happens when orders are cancelled by the anti-bot measures our e-commerce site has in place, and someone tries to buy the same item again. Some of those fraudulent purchases got through, though even if they weren't cancelled by those anti-bot measures, we're still able to detect them. We'll continue to thoroughly investigate the situation and implement proper solutions to reopen pre-orders as soon as possible. So yes everyone, get ready, there will be another wave of pre-orders. I hope it's gonna be as fun as this one. Our team is made up of core TCG players and fans. We know how frustrating it is to feel like you didn't even get a shot at getting cards. We don't have all the solutions, and it will be an ongoing process, but we are deeply invested in improving here. We'll keep working and taking your feedback along the way to ensure we are delivering the best experience possible. Thank you. So yes, this was fully transparent, and so now people know what happened. As is always the case, the servers just burned. As a result, the bots will not get anything, everything is getting restocked back at the merch store, and there will be a round 2. We'll see if the bots manage to do it again. Now in general, the response to this tweet from Dave was pretty good. People really appreciate just Riot telling us what actually happened. And they also appreciate the fact that yes, people should still get a fair chance at getting the cards. If you need any more validation, this post was approved by Drew Levin. That should make people happy. And again, yes, Riot is working on a fix there. As the bots are getting refunded, even my cousin lost one of his boxes because yes, he was only supposed to get one. And so everything is slowly getting back to the normal stage. And while all of this was still a major fumble by the Riot merch store, the same point got proven once again. Riftbound is both a blessing and a curse, and one day it might be responsible for funding the MMO.